Hi, it's John Bauman again with another supply and demand application. Here's a multiple choice question. The question asks what happens to the equilibrium price and quantity of cars that are not very fuel efficient, ones that use a lot of gasoline, if these two changes take place. One change is that the government puts a tax on the production of these cars. Second change is that hybrid cars, so substitute cars, the technology to make them improves and it lowers the cost and it lowers the price of those hybrid cars. But keep in mind we're looking at the changes for the price, equilibrium price and quantity of the not very fuel efficient cars. The four choices or five choices actually are here, A, B, C, D, and E. You might want to pause the video right now and see if you can figure out by drawing the graphs which is the correct answer. Okay, so let's start with our typical supply curve, upward sloping supply curve, so S1, and your typical downward sloping demand curve. That's just our starting point before the changes take place. You can see that the equilibrium price is around this height, so let's say P1, and the equilibrium quantity, draw a straight line down to the quantity, it's supposed to be a straight line. Quantity 1 here, and let's look at the first change. The first change is that the government puts a tax on the production of these cars. So putting a tax on the production, that's a supply determinant. So something's going to happen to the supply. Well, it's more expensive to make these cars, there's a tax on it, so it's going to be less attractive for firms to make these cars, and that is going to shift the supply curve to the left. It's a decrease in supply. So the new supply curve is S2. If that was the only change, the new equilibrium would be here, and we'd see an increase in the price and a decrease in the equilibrium quantity. But there is a second change. The second change is a little tricky because it talks about a substitute product, hybrid cars. The hybrid cars are getting cheaper because of an advance in technology. So that means more people are going to buy the substitute product. It also means that fewer people are going to buy this product here that we're graphing, the not so fuel efficient car. So that means if not as many people are going to buy this car, that means the demand's going to shift to the left. There's a decrease in demand. And that is our second change. There's only two changes. So after the two changes, we have a new equilibrium right here, the intersection of the two new blue curves. And you can see that the quantity has definitely decreased. In fact, with the first change the quantity decreased, and with the second change the quantity decreased even more. So the equilibrium quantity definitely has decreased. So that's part of our answer. The price, well, it looks like the price has stayed about the same. Or if I didn't shift the curve, one of the curves as much, the price could have gotten lower or a little bit higher, depending on how far I shift either curve. So the official answer for the change in the equilibrium price is that it's really unknown, it's indeterminate. So that means our choice E, this one here, is the correct answer.